Some of the things that you might notice are, for example, a laundry room that's like with a lot of laundry not done, just sitting there. The bed is never used. Like they just stop using the bed and you don't realize like what's going on? Why are you sleeping on the recliner instead of in your bed? Oh well, it's too high. I'm more comfortable in the chair. Pile up dishes in the sink or expired food in the refrigerator. Some of the housekeeping starts to fall and you start to realize, okay, there's something going on. It's less tidy. Mom's always had her house really, really clean and tidy, and it's not looking that way anymore. I would consider that to be a red flag and a call to action. Let's get something in here. Let's get some help here, even if it's once a week. It's not very intrusive.
Hi, I'm Betsy O'Leary, the publisher and host with Carolina Living Choices, and we welcome you to Ask the Expert, a series where we connect trusted local professionals to talk with you, our readers, and families about questions that you may have about aging in place. Today, we're going to continue that series focusing on how individuals, families can plan ahead to stay safe, independent, and confident at home. Today, I'm joined with Daniel Pickus, owner of Senior Helpers of Asheville. Daniel works closely with individuals, families, navigating these decisions around in-home care, aging safely at home. Daniel, thank you so much for being here today. Please tell us a little bit about you and Senior Helpers.
Hi, it's wonderful to be here. Yes, as you already said, I'm Daniel Pickus and work with Senior Helpers. We're a home care agency here in the Asheville area, and we provide in home care that allows elder adults to be able to stay safely at home as long as possible.
Wonderful. And how long have you been with Senior Helpers? And you own Senior Helpers, is that correct?
Yes, so it's a independently owned franchise. There are about 300 or so franchises around the country. And around the time of COVID, when we were all making so many changes in our personal lives, I had the opportunity to start a new business. And after looking at several different opportunities, we landed on Senior Helpers that seemed like a very interesting opportunity to work in a mission driven type of service business. And we've been doing that since 2022 here in Asheville. We have a wonderful team, nurses on staff, an office team, and I think around 37 or so caregivers right now. Yeah, and we're serving Buncombe and Henderson counties primarily. So, yeah.
Great. So, one of the first questions we're going to start with is our readers asked, what are the first steps someone should take if they want to age safely and confidently at home?
Yeah, it's a good question. Start with two things: an honest look at your daily routines and a simple safety check of the home. Most people don't need any major changes, but just small adjustments that would make life easier and reduce risk. From there, talk to professionals who can help plan ahead, whether that's a home care provider like us, or occupational therapist or a nurse that specializes in aging in place. You know, when it comes to like the daily routine, there's a lot of things that we do every day that as we age could become a little bit risky. I mean, we're talking about mobility, bathing, cooking, medications, driving. Driving is a big one. We can also provide some transportation, which really helps, but also staying connected to those activities that are important for your day to day. We have a program that we call part of our evaluation program that's focuses on the quality of life and just understanding what are those things that bring you joy in your life. And as we age and we start to get more and more isolated, often those things fall off the radar and we're not able to do them anymore. But it's so important to keep those in our lives and, maintain that ability to access, whether that's, going out on walks, going grocery shopping, just many, many things like that. So For some people, it's gardening, or, going to their church. So, yeah, as far as the home environment, it's small things, sometimes it's an additional railing on the entryway. We often see homes will have one rail on one side, but if you imagine that you hurt your right knee, you might have difficulty going up. Uh, if you only have railing on the right side of the railing, and you have to come back down the other side. So little things can really make a big difference as far as that safety. Illumination in the home. Sometimes we like to have our home dimly lit because it's more homey and feels more comfortable. But, having those environments that are not well lit can become trip hazards and become dangerous. So I think the main thing is just being able to maintain control.
What mistakes do people often make when they wait too long to plan for aging in place?
Yeah, I think the biggest mistake is waiting for a crisis like a hospitalization, a fall, or caregiver burnout. Once you allow those things to, once that happens, basically you're reacting instead of planning and choosing, and your options are become much more limited. So I think that the biggest mistake is not setting up a structure in place for you to safely age in place, and then just waiting for a crisis, waiting for something. Say, "Oh, when I need it, then I'll call you guys," and that can be a really difficult thing, and then you don't have any options left. So I would say, you know, setting up a team, setting up a safety net would be the best thing to do.
So, what I hear you saying is by not making a plan, you are making a plan because you're choosing not to have a plan.
Yeah,
And so,
yeah,
having a plan in
yeah,
place, even if it's as simple as I can get these 5 people from church, from Bible study, from a book club, from dog walking volunteering to help take me if I'm
yeah.
unable to drive. So you're saying just loosely having and thinking ahead of what ifs.
Yeah, and we often use the term "it takes a village," and we don't realize how many people are involved in supporting aging in place. So it does take a group of people, and making sure that you have that in place. Counting on your neighbors. I hear a lot of people saying that, "Oh no, I have wonderful neighbors here," but counting on your neighbors can be very risky as well. First of all, it's one thing to ask for sugar; it's another to help. To ask them to help you take care for them once they come back from the hospital. So it's a very different proposal. And we love our neighbors, of course, and we want to help them, but sometimes you need professionals for some of these things. I think what we often see is the decision gets delayed, delayed, delayed. And then at some point, it just becomes overwhelming. It's too many things to decide all at once. Maybe, like we said, you're in a crisis situation. Now, there's a hospitalization, then there's rehab. And then, oh no, what are we going to do when mom is coming back home from rehab, and you're scrambling to find home care, you're scrambling to find a network to put in place at that time. So having having even some small pieces in place already make all those decisions easier. It's less taxing, it's less stressful. And bear in mind, stress is probably one of the things that makes us age the most quickly. So anything that we can do to reduce stress, I think will help us live longer and live better.
So you mentioned about having some ideas, some suggestions of having those pieces in place. So if I'm a family member and I'm in this situation, what are like a couple, two, three, to identify what are some things that I could put in place when we're not in crisis mode?
Well, I think the first thing would be to find the right professionals to be talking to. I would start with someone who understands home safety, but also health. So that could be
Okay.
somebody like a home care agency that has an RN that's helping to do those in-home evaluations. Also, occupational therapists, wonderful to have those resources. They understand body mechanics. They understand some of the challenges of getting set up for aging in place. And then there are other experts too, geriatric managers. Usually those are nurses or social workers who have connections within the community and are able to provide a lot of information for aging safely in place. The primary care provider can help you do things like reconcile your list of medications. There are many times we'll go into a home and we'll find that medications are written on paper notes, and there's different medications from different physicians. So having a reconciled list of medications is a really important first step, and your primary care provider can help with that. But again, like I would say, I would start with someone who understands both health and home safety. Those are the two critical aspects of aging safely in place.
Wonderful. I love the suggestion of getting a updated medication list. That is something that is so tangible and so straightforward to get, but yet we often oversee it. But what happens, Daniel? We go to the doctor, we go to the ER. What's the first thing they ask? Insurance, medications. And so that's a great tangible thing for people and caregivers to do is have an updated list. Very great. And the other thing I heard you say, get a medication list. Also, maybe just identify some senior in-home care, like your own company and or someone else, so at least they know what resources are available. I heard you say occupational therapist and to pay attention to who works at those places, like at your place or at another senior home care or another organization. Who do they have on staff and what do they need? Do you offer an in-home assessment?
Yes. So Senior Helpers has a proprietary testing tool. We call it life profile assessment. Our life profile assessment focuses on a number of different areas. So, like we talked about, first it's about independence and the physical abilities, upper body, lower body strength, ambulation, independence for doing all the activities of daily living. But we also want to do that home safety assessment. So the life profile assessment includes 144 different areas of the home. We mentioned lighting earlier, but there are all kinds of things that can become trip hazards, like throw rugs or other mats around the home, which of course make the home cozy, but if you're using a walker, for example, it can become a trip hazard and, we want to avoid those falls. We also want to evaluate the med list. We talked about medication management. So sometimes that entails, that starts with a good medication list, but maybe having a pharmacy that can deliver medications is really practical. They can reconcile everything. We have some local resources in our area that provide really good, medication management. So that's something that anybody could do from home, and it really helps for living independently. And then of course, we talked also about quality of life. So that sometimes gets overlooked, but just making sure that those things that are important to you remain in your life as long as possible. Maybe your mom worked with music, right? And maybe she can't play the piano now, but she can still enjoy listening to piano. We have clients who were artists and, maybe they still are artists, but they don't have a lot of time. They're not physically able anymore to do much painting, but they can still enjoy and appreciate art. So making sure that we provide the moments and those times that we can do those things that we still love. And then the final one is what we call burden of care. So the burden of care is really thinking about not just the activities of daily living per se, but all the things that encompass living well and aging well. And often that includes family members, it includes neighbors we've talked about, it includes home care agencies, it includes PT, OT, and all the different professionals that make up your care team. But getting that together and understanding what is the burden of care at the moment really helps in those evaluations. So usually our evaluation takes about an hour or so. And at the end of that evaluation, you have a really good idea of, your safety, if this is something that you're requesting yourself, or your parents' safety, your mom or your dad, and their ability to stay independent. And, sometimes we'll go in and we figure out that, what this person needs is some companionship. They need to stay, they want to, they're sociable, right? And we're social creatures. And, like we learned during COVID, when we don't have those small social interactions, it can become very lonely. We often start with some companionship, and during that companionship, we can also engage in a number of different activities in the home, whether it's, light housekeeping, whether it's helping with laundry, dusting around the house and just tidying up, or going grocery shopping or running errands together. So many times folks will start that. That'll be their first foray into home care. And then at some point in the future, they may also need some assistance with bathing supervision. We know that the bathroom is the most dangerous room in the house, and we all have to visit it rather frequently. It's dangerous because it's slippery, there are hard surfaces, and it's tight getting around. It can be really tight getting around with a walker or a wheelchair. And we often don't think about it until we're trying to get in and out of the bath with a walker. It can be pretty challenging. Make sure that your home evaluation, that your home is ready, is wide enough, the rooms are wide enough, the spaces are wide enough for you to get around. Maybe you're not using a walker today, but you want to think about it. Does this fit with a walker? Can I get a walker in here safely, or a wheelchair? So, yeah.
Wonderful. So a family member can call and ask for a home evaluation, and that can give them a good light, a good eye opener to how their mom, dad, loved one is at home and any potential obstacles that they could look at. And that's something they can do
Yeah.
now, right? That's not something they need to wait for a crisis, correct?
It's worth doing early. It's worth learning about early. It does kind of feel like you need a university degree to navigate aging in place. It is really challenging. There's so many aspects to it, but it helps if you start making small decisions early. Getting an in-home assessment is a very effective way of starting that process and making sure you have some of those pieces in place. Literally, if you have to make 10 decisions, if you make one now, if you just make one now, that's one less decision you'll have to make later. And it really makes the process less stressful.
Oh, great. So another question is, when does a family kind of have to make that decision? I understand the home assessment would be a great tool and maybe the less invasive tool to kind of assess where mom or dad is at. So they could ask for a home assessment without being your customer because they're just getting essentially a baseline. Is that a good way to look at
Yeah.
this for the family?
Yeah, and, other than home care, OT companies as well. We have several good local PT and OT companies that would come also and do a home assessment and evaluate your
Okay.
home. And they also have, we mentioned geriatric managers too. There are some wonderful ones in our area as well that can help navigate some of those challenges. But definitely home care is one that has that grasp on both the health and, the physical body and the environment, the home. So both of those would be relevant.
Okay. And Daniel, remind me what you said the senior helpers tool was that somebody could ask for?
It's a life profile assessment.
Wonderful. Wonderful. We'll put that link in with this
Yeah.
article and this recording so people can click on that. And if nothing else, at least they're educating themselves to know what that is. So now we've had two really good takeaways so far, Daniel. We have getting a medication list and
Mhm.
a home assessment of some sorts, resources. That's wonderful.
Absolutely.
What are some of the early signs that a caregiver or a daughter or son may see with their loved one that maybe they're not safe anymore and maybe we need to start this conversation. Are there any per se red flags besides the obvious of mom's fallen?
Yes, hopefully we can get it before the fall for sure. Because, like we said, that fall is like a crisis and we wanna get it before then. Yeah, I mean, some of the things that you might notice are, for example, a laundry room that's like with a lot of laundry not done, just sitting there, or maybe partially completed. Maybe it's even been dried, but it's not getting back to the room. Another red flag might be the bed is never used. Like they just stop using the bed and you don't realize like what's going on? Why are you sleeping on the recliner instead of in your bed? Oh well, it's too high. I'm more comfortable in the chair. And you start to realize, okay, there's something going on. Another one might be, piled up dishes in the refrigerator. Sorry, piled up dishes in the sink or expired food in the refrigerator. Those are things that we see. They might not realize that it's expired. They might not realize that those leftovers have been there for 4 weeks, but you brought them there last month and you know that restaurant, you know what that food was, and it's been there for a month. Some of the housekeeping starts to fall, it starts to get left behind, it's less tidy. Mom's always had her house really, really clean and tidy, and it's not looking that way anymore. I would consider that to be a red flag and, a call to action. Let's get something in here. Let's get some help here even if it's once a week. It's not very intrusive. Get somebody in there once a week to help mom out. And it's like, oh no, I can do everything myself. I'm very, very independent. I know. And we want to keep you independent as long as possible. So just remember that
Right.
often I see there's a tension between the kids and the parents. And that tension is the us kids want to keep our parents safe. The parents are looking for independence. And those things don't always jive very well. And that can lead to some conflict where we're trying to keep them safe. They're trying to stay independent. So finding that middle ground, understanding, being patient, understanding, I know you want to keep your independence. I want you to keep your independence as well. I want you to have choices. I want you to have agency, and we want to avoid a crisis. Those are words that you might use with mom and might be helpful in getting them to accept some help. And, I think driving is one of the bigger ones that we see. If she's getting lost or if they're getting lost, and like, "Hey, I don't know where I am. I took a turn and I can't find where I'm going." Those are early indications there might be some cognitive decline and probably shouldn't be driving. Eyesight, poor eyesight, limited, peripheral vision can be very dangerous for driving. So just keep an eye on that.
So, some of the early signs, just regrouping, so I know, because I too am a daughter of an aging parent, is untidiness in the house. If there are sink dishes in the sink or outdated food in the refrigerator, if the laundry room is untidy, meaning some clothes aren't dried or folded, and if the bedroom is not being slept in for various reasons. Those are some reasons why the kids, the caregivers, would reach out to either a home health agency or a senior care facility or community rather, but more of an agency, it sounds like, to talk about the what if plan. And then some of the words I heard you say as a daughter is help me help you, mom. Help me keep you independent and living here. And this helps me and my peace of mind versus you feeling like I'm taking something away, that I'm trying to help you. Is that what I'm hearing?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And,
Okay.
living at home alone is different than living at home with other people. So that is something to consider if your parent is living at home alone. Just, be mindful that those risks are more pronounced. And it could be, you might want to get a life alert. You might want to get some additional technology just to make sure that you can stay in touch with mom and or dad and make sure that they're safe at home alone.
Wonderful. Wonderful. You've given us some great information today, and I really appreciate it. Is there anything else you'd like to
It's
add
fun.
before we close our conversation this morning?
No, just I would say it's never too early to start learning about aging in place. I have been on this journey myself learning about it, and it is a lot. It's a lot of information. So get started
Yes.
educating yourself on what's available in your community, whether it's grant programs that are available, the differences between home health and home care, who's going to do PT, where do you go rehab, if mom is considering going to an assisted living, you need to know what's available, how much it costs, where are you going to go. All these decisions take a lot of time. Home care is interesting because it can help give you time. It can give you time to research, it can give you time to make those decisions well. So avail yourself of that option while you're learning about what you want to do more permanently. So that is really good too.
Wonderful. So I think in closing, Daniel, I want to say thank you for stopping in
Thank
and
you.
helping us understand aging in place. And I think it's most helpful with what you said about the baby steps that we do
Yeah.
have this huge elephant in the room. And I do think it is important the small steps that you mentioned, which was talking to their family doctor or whoever their primary care is, getting a medication list, and finding out what resources are available that are in the area that they may or may not ever need to use. And then just being aware of what is happening in the house and
Yeah.
making and having those will help the child or the caregiver feel that they're helping, but also to be sensitive to the parent who wants to stay independent. And as that role reverse happens, as we both are experiencing,
Yeah.
to be understanding and empathetic to the parent, to say, I'm trying to help you help yourself. And I love
Yeah.
the idea that you said about having a companion in the house. That's exactly what it is. It's a companion.
Absolutely.
It's not a
Absolutely.
babysitter. It's not a watcher. It's not a
Yeah.
reporter back to the child. It's
Or
a
a prison
companion
guard.
because we all need companionship. Right,
Yes, we do. Yeah.
right, absolutely. Wonderful. Well, Daniel, thank you again for your time and sharing and giving us some great information. I sincerely appreciate it. And I'm glad you're on
You're
this journey
welcome.
with me. And I'm glad we could lean into each other because I think that's kind of what we're talking about. Once again,
Yeah.
companionship, even with us. If you'd like to learn more or explore additional resources, you can visit Ask the Expert series at carolinalivingchoices.com. And if you have any questions for Daniel or for us in general, we'd love for you to join the conversation. Thank you again for joining, and we look forward to seeing you next time.